What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh! OCG TCG video. Today, guys, we are going to be going over some new Cyberdark support. Let me kind of explain something with this real quick. According to Yugioh organization, these two cards that we're going to be going over today are technically supposed to help this Cyberdark archetype instead of the Roid archetype. As you can tell from the image, it's Dragonroid with Cyrus, who uses Roid monsters. So it's very interesting that they put this towards Cyberdark support, as it's stated in Yugioh organization. So if the title seems weird if I don't say it's called a new Roid support, it's because that's what Yugioh decided to call it. It's like, you know what, why not? It technically was, these two cards were played in the Cyberdark archetype when Show used it in his season 4 duel, but I guess it was a mixture of Cyberdarks and Roids. So I don't know, I just didn't really know what to call this video. So if it's weird that I have it called Cyberdark but it's actually supposed to be Roid, I do apologize. That's just what Yugioh decided to call it. So that's what we're going to do. But today, guys, we are going to be going over the new Cyberdark support that's set to release in Animation Chronicle 2021. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoy, and without further ado, guys, let's not waste any more time and let's get right into it. So obviously we're going to do monsters and extra deck, then we're going to do spell and trap cards, which the only things we got for this is monster and a trap. So that's all we're going to really go over in this video. And the monster that we're going to be covering is the one I alluded to earlier, Dragonroid. It is a level 8 wind machine effect monster with 2900 attack and 1000 defense. Its effect is you can only use this card's first effect once per turn. Its first effect is you can discard this card, activate one of these effects. Add one non-wind Roid monster from your deck to your hand. Okay, so this is basically discard this card and get a search off for one of your maybe better Roid monsters, whatever that card might be. So you'd be able to search any Roid monster that you want in your deck. And the other one is this turn, the activation of your cards and effects that include an effect that fusion summons a fusion monster cannot be negated. Also, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects when a monster is fusion summoned this way. I actually like that effect. It puts protection on a monster and it prevents your opponent from stopping your fusion summon. So that is pretty cool. And also, it doesn't stop like a specific one, like a Roid like fusion or a Cyberdark fusion or whatever the case might be. It's any fusion. So say for example you want to summon a Starving Venom fusion dragon, you can discard this card, use that effect, and they cannot negate your summons. So that's pretty cool right there. And its second effect is once per turn, which is a soft once per turn. If this card is in your graveyard, you can make this card in the graveyard become a dragon monster until the end of this turn. Interesting. So it basically makes this monster a dragon monster in your graveyard, which makes sense with the Cyberdark, because the whole thing with Cyberdark is having dragon monsters in your graveyard to use its effect to gain attack points. So I guess that's what they intend you to do with this card. It's a weird effect, because I guess another way you can do this as well is that if you have cards that target dragon type monsters in your graveyard, I guess this is a target that you can do. I don't know, this effect is just really weird, to be honest. I honestly forgot this had an effect, which makes sense. He used this to get an extra attack point stat to his Cyber Dragon when Show used it in the anime, but I don't know, that in terms of the card game standard, again, unless you're doing it in the Cyberdark deck, or you have a card that targets dragon type monsters in the graveyard, I would see that being useful. Maybe like if you use a card that gets back a dragon type monster from your graveyard back to your hand, I guess you can get this card back to your hand and use this effect again, maybe if you want to go into another fusion summon. So I guess that's something you can do. I don't know, that effect is really weird, very situational, definitely, but I don't know. Definitely the first effect is where I feel like it strives. If you played a Roid deck, it's able to search Roid monsters, and if you just use it in any deck, it's able to make sure your opponent can't stop your fusion summons, and puts protection on the fusion monster, as well as it also says your opponent cannot activate cards or effects when a monster is fusion summoned this way. So that's pretty cool as well. So overall, I think this is a pretty interesting card, to say the least. Up next, the final card we're going to be going over is the Continuous Trap card, Declaration of Rebirth. It is a continuous trap card. Once per turn, you can declare one type. All monsters in the graveyards become the declared type until the end of this turn. Okay. Also, weird effect, just like Dragonroid. It basically has that effect, but it affects both graveyards, so actually this is basically DNA surgery, but for your graveyard, so that's kind of hilarious when you really think about it from that perspective. Again, very, very weird. I feel like if you're specifically playing Cyberdark, I feel like that might help because of the fact that it also targets your opponent's graveyard, and also you can play some other cards in your graveyard as well, or in your deck as well, that's not specific to the archetype or just dragon type. Put those in the graveyard, and then you basically can change it with this card into a dragon type, which, sure, it can be easy to spell and trap card removal, so it doesn't have any protection on it, but I don't know. These two, like, the last effect of Dragonroid in this one is just really weird, because again, unless you're playing some type of card that targets types in the graveyard, and that's how you go off with your plays, I don't really see a use for this card other than the Cyberdark archetype, because of the fact that they rely on dragon types in the graveyard. So, I don't know, like this is a weird trap card, to say the least. Again, it's DNA surgery, basically, for your graveyard, so interesting, I guess, but that's gonna be it for these two cards. General thoughts, weird cards, I will say that much. I don't think they're gonna really be that useful, to be completely honest, just because of the fact that those two effects are just really weird, of just targeting stuff in your graveyard and changing it to a different type. It's playable, I think so, but like, it's just weird. Like, I feel like the benefit from other decks other than Dragon or like Cyberdark is basically changing them to that type, so that when you activate a card that might target a certain type in the graveyard, then you can use it other than a card that's in your graveyard. So like, if you want to get a card back from the graveyard to your hand, if there's a card that targets a certain type that you want to, and you want that card back into your hand, I guess that's a way you can do it. I don't know. I just really do feel like these cards, they're interesting, but I don't know how useful they will be. Like, definitely let me know what you guys think of these cards, because these cards are just weird. I really cannot think of a use for these cards. For me personally, I don't think I would personally play these cards, but maybe there's something you can do with these cards. I have really no idea. Though, the Dragonroid effect, its first effect, is actually probably the best effect from these two cards, just being able to search your Roid monsters and protect yourself, protect your fusion summon to actually activate. So for that, I think it's actually pretty good for Dragonroid. The other effects are just weird in my opinion. But guys, that's going to be it for this OCG TCG video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys think of these two cards. Do you think they're good? Do you think they're okay? Or do you really don't think they're that good? They're weird. They're interesting cards. They're weird, interesting cards, to say the least. And I definitely would like to know your guys' thoughts on that. And if you can think of a use, let me know, because honestly, other than the examples I've given you, I can't think of a specific one on the top of my head. But if you can think of any other reason for these cards that would make them really, really good, let me know. These are just really weird cards, but they're cool. I'm glad they actually coming to the OCG and the TCG, so that's a bonus, in my opinion. I think it's really cool that we're getting these cards, two cards that I never thought we would honestly get, but you know what? I'm not mad about it. I think they're interesting cards that come to the OCG and the TCG. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, guys, take care and have yourselves a great rest of your day.